For those of you guys that don't know, I've talked about it pretty often. So I'm from New Jersey. That's where my whole weed journey began. I started selling bud when I was 16 in Jersey. You know, got the first half ounce, broke that down, sold it by the gram, man, just for that free smoke, and kept it going and just moving the weight up. So I have a place in my heart for New Jersey, and when it became legal there's been a whole process, but people are finally able to buy it recently. Long story short, on the first day of adult use marijuana sales in Jersey, there was 1.9 million spent. Now, before I get into this, I actually ran into a guy has a grow, I believe it was in Jersey. I ran into him at 99 High Tide in Malibu, which is a recent dispensary that we just got in with Koan. And he was telling me, I was saying, oh, I'm excited. You know, I'm from Jersey. We always bullshit about that when you meet other people from where you're from. But what we talked about too was just the kind of the most messed up part is that home grow is still illegal. Now, I think there's a lot of reasons for that. I think the biggest one is just control and making people spend money at the stores. And also with that, I think it's a way that they can still get the revenue on the back end from making bust on people who are illegally growing. So there's a lot kind of to unpack there, but I'm going to dive into this article and we'll refer to some of that in a moment. Customers who stood in long lines for the start of adult use marijuana sales in New Jersey on April 21st bought $1.9 million worth of cannabis-related products. According to Bloomberg, 12,438 customers spent roughly $153 per purchase on the day. New Jersey joined 17 other states, and the District of Columbia as markets where recreationally marijuana legal. Now, the funny thing is there's a lot of places that can't have stores. So if it was fully open, those numbers would be a lot bigger. On launch day, New Jersey regulators reported few initial glitches, although some customers had to stand in lines dozens of people long. Meanwhile, according to Bloomberg, the State Cannabis Commission reported that medical marijuana dispensaries sold an estimated 64,000 ounces or 4,000 pounds of MMJ over the past month. 2022, okay, we'll skip that as a little ad. 12 of the first 13 MMJ dispensaries that received licenses to sell adult use marijuana have opened their doors. So only 12 of the first 13 were open, and they were still able to do those numbers. That's pretty mind-blowing to me. The 2022 fact book projects that New Jersey market will generate $625 million to $775 million in sales this year, growing to $2 billion to $2.4 billion a year by 2026. Now, I've said this so many times, guys, like looking at these numbers in these states that are doing this and seeing this huge influx of cash. And I said this right when COVID hit, like the cannabis industry has been booming and actually was a really solid industry during COVID. And that's why I was like, we're sending out all these stimulus checks. We're doing all this shit when there's a way to bring in a huge influx of cash if we just made things federally legal. It will bring in so much revenue. It's insane, but there's still that pushback. There's still stuff going on right now. You know, I'm not too hopeful that anything's going to pass anytime soon in terms of federal legalization. And that's a whole wormhole to dive down as well, because who knows what's really going to happen with legalities.
This is True Buzz, that Mary J. Now we ain't new to this. For my stoners and for my cannabis enthusiasts, never heard a show as good as this. Number one, it's the best, bringing in many special guests in the industry of cannabis. Business owners to growers, even artists you know of. So sit back and just roll up. Perfect show for my smokers. True Buzz, ayy.